you saw my previous video, you know that I found poison ivy even up into these trees. I'll put the link in the description below on the video about identifying poison ivy. So that's far above my head. When I found the poison ivy last time, I was hoping that it was only on this left-hand side. When I got down to the alley, I didn't see any poison ivy in the alley area. But when I started to clear out some of this brush in here, that's when I discovered that the poison ivy is all through here. I found it on the ground. You can see it down here. This is poison ivy. It was in amongst the fence here, and then as I got into this overgrown area here, it's just all poison ivy, all through there. There's absolutely nothing edible or savable in this area. So I'm basically going to spray everything in this area and see if I can kill the poison ivy. I've never tried these before. I decided to try Ortho Poison Ivy Killer. Now, I had two choices at Home Depot, and I don't know that the facts will always stay the same, but the reason I chose Ortho, for one, it was less expensive to make a gallon of the concentrate from Ortho than it was Roundup. But the other thing was the active ingredient that kills the poison ivy. There's 8% of the active ingredient in this one, but only 2% of the active ingredient in the Roundup. The Roundup also had the grass and weed killer mixed in with the poison ivy killer, and I don't need that. I need something specifically for poison ivy. Now, it's 98 degrees out here, but I am wearing a long sleeve shirt and long pants because the mosquitoes are just horrible. I'm hoping that once I clear out some of this brush, including the poison ivy, that it will reduce the amount of mosquitoes. But it's a hot day. I'm covered up and the mosquitoes are still swarming me. The instructions say to add 4 ounces to a gallon of water. I have a gallon of water in the container, in the sprayer. To open, you press in the tabs and then the top unscrews. What I really liked about this was the cup has marks inside telling the number of ounces. So filling it to the top is 4 ounces. It also has a little spout in the top here. I really like this setup. Okay, I've got 4 ounces in a gallon of water. The instructions say to kill for about the first, or to spray about the first 4 feet off of the ground when it's going up the trunk of a tree like that. So that's what we'll do. You can see down here I have whole bushes of the poison ivy. It's all through here, intermingled with the rest of the trees. There's also regular ivy and kudzu and other vines. intermingled among the poison ivy. If the poison ivy weren't here, I would work and I would take all of that out. But the poison ivy is just so bad to be exposed to. I've had 3 poison ivy encounters that lasted weeks, so I just can't try and take it out with all that poison ivy in there. It's been a week since I sprayed the poison ivy. That spot there definitely turning yellow. That's a good sign. And here, the poison ivy's turning yellow. Now this other ivy doesn't seem to be affected yet. And here, poison ivy, all those yellow leaves are the poison ivy. And it has turned them yellow even back into the tree where I wasn't able to specifically spray. Now I don't really like this tree. It's a bush I normally would take out. But I noticed that the poison ivy spray didn't affect the tree at all. This was the main area I was worried about. I'm trying to clear out all of this area. And I can see some poison ivy that's wilting and turning yellow. This other vine here is not poison ivy. I would like to kill it too, and it does look wilty. It's not turning yellow, but it is wilty. When I look inside the fence here, I can see the poison ivy there is turning yellow. I think today I won't go in there to look too carefully. Looking along here, some of the vines are turning yellow. I sprayed all of this area. Although this is not poison ivy, it is an ivy that I'd like to get rid of. Some spots are yellow. It looks like that's not being affected as quickly, but that's okay. If the poison ivy's gone, I'm willing to come in and work to take this part out. So the poison ivy was my main concern. Let's see. Here in the path, the poison ivy is definitely yellow. Here, starting to turn yellow, Here on the edge, starting to turn yellow. I see someone has trimmed this hedge here. When I look in there, I can see that the areas that I sprayed, the poison ivy has turned yellow. So for 1 week, I'm pretty happy. With what was left in my container when I sprayed the other place, I sprayed some here in my yard. And the things that I sprayed are yellow. That's great. But the poison ivy here goes all the way in this overgrown area. There's a lot that I didn't spray because I ran out all the way back into the back there. Now that I know it works, I'm going to spray all that too. This morning you can hear the crickets. I'm checking the poison ivy. It's been 7 days since I sprayed this area in here. And you can see all the yellow leaves that are the poison ivy. Some of these other vines did not turn yellow yet. So I would say the Ortho is not particularly effective unless it just takes longer on these other vines. The ortho did say 2 to 4 weeks, and it's only been 7 days. Now this was the poison ivy that I sprayed the week before. So this is 2 weeks, and you can see it's completely yellow. And here is another vine that was sprayed 2 weeks ago, and it is dying. So it looks like poison ivy will start to show some change in a week, but some of the other vines may take 2 weeks. I'm going to start pulling this out now today before the poison ivy is completely dead. One of the reasons I wanted to spray it and kill it was to prevent it from spreading, but the other reason is to help me identify where it is. You can see in this bush that poison ivy is in the center. All those yellow leaves are poison ivy. It's hard to see when it's green, and it's easy to accidentally rip it out, touch it, and get infected. Over here is another example. Here's this tree, and in the center of the tree is poison ivy. So with the leaves this yellow, it's easier to identify exactly where it is and be careful as I'm taking it out. I probably won't be able to get all of the vines in the ground, but I'll get as many as I can. It's important to remember that once the plant dies, it still has the oil in it that causes the rash. So that's why I want to start pulling it out now while it still has its yellow leaves. Once it loses its leaves and are just dried sticks, I won't know where it is. And then it will be harder to pull it out without getting infected. It's been 2 weeks now since I sprayed this poison ivy and this ivy here. Remember that a week ago this hadn't dried up. I'm looking at the ivy down at the bottom. It's barely turning yellow, not much. But some of this other ivy has started to die. This ivy here. But again, my main concern was the poison ivy. Here, remember that the poison ivy was in this tree. Last week it was yellow, now it's completely brown. Over here, some of this vine has also started to turn. The poison ivy in there is now more brown than yellow. And here, it has gone from yellow to brown. You can see back in there, everything that's brown is poison ivy. This has worked very well on the poison ivy, and I'm happy with it. All in all, I think the Ortho Poison Ivy Vine Killer does work, and I would recommend it. Have a nice day. I'm going to get to work clearing out my poison ivy.